And joining us this morning on Early Kickoff is David Ornstein from The Athletic and sports broadcaster Natalie Pike. Good morning to you both. OK, let's start with Newcastle. So they're closing in on a long-awaited replacement for Steve Bruce. Natalie, if you were a Newcastle fan, would you be excited at the prospect of Eddie Howe taking over your club?
Yeah, I think Newcastle fans are just excited about the prospect of the future now regardless, aren't they? But yeah, I think Eddie Howe would be a really nice fit for them. We often hear Newcastle fans talking about wanting their team to play football that gets them off their seats, that gets them out of their chairs. And I think that Eddie Howe definitely is a great choice to do that for them.
Yeah, David, you agree? We're having a little bit of a chat in the break about it all. I mean, it's been an incredible week. It looked like it was going to be Emery, yourself included, thought that one looked very, very close. And then all of a sudden it's Eddie Howe. But have Newcastle, despite the sort of meandering way they've got there, got to the right man in the end?
Yeah, Pete, I broke the news on Tuesday morning that it was down to a final two of Unai Emery and Eddie Howe, with Unai Emery as the preferred candidate. So that may, when it collapses, lead many people to be disappointed or feel that Eddie Howe is a second choice option. But I don't really think it is that way. I think that Eddie Howe was very impressive to many who were involved in the interview process. And it seems like the decision was split. And ultimately, the Saudi owners veered slightly towards Emery. That didn't materialise. And Howe is not by any means a replacement for him. I think they were pretty much equals. And I think Eddie Howe may turn out to be the best possible appointment for Newcastle at this moment in time for what they need. And I know that he's been preparing brilliantly. I think that he will do a really good job. There will be so many factors that this depends on: what other appointments Newcastle make around sporting director, chief executive, how they back him in the January transfer window. There's a lot of mess, it seems, at the club at the moment, which is, you could say, natural when a takeover happens so rapidly. But yeah, despite what's been a difficult week, I do think it's going to reach a positive conclusion for Newcastle. And I think there can be a great deal of excitement about what Eddie Howe could do at St James's Park.
OK, Natalie, off the pitch, as David mentioned there's a lot to sort out at Newcastle. But on the pitch, what can Howe do to turn around performances and improve results?
Yeah, obviously he's got a really tough job on his hands, but he's got a really great reputation for getting the best out of players. And obviously between now and January, at a minimum, he needs to be getting the best out of those players that are at Newcastle. We all know, of course, that Eddie Howe likes to play sort of a beautiful attacking football. He's often saying he wants to entertain people. He wants people to want to go and watch his team. So hopefully he can get that out of the Newcastle players, get them playing some beautiful attacking football. Obviously, we know they've got problems in defence, and hopefully when the January transfer window opens for them, they might be able to try and solve some of those problems. But I think he's just got to get the players playing to the best of their abilities, get a really good team spirit going there, get some belief back into them that they can stay up.
David, Eddie Howe's someone that I think for a long time, even before the takeover, Newcastle fans would have been excited about that appointment because he knows the players. He's worked with Callum Wilson, Matt Ritchie, Ryan Fraser. He's got a sort of relationship with Graham Jones as well, we understand, as well, because Jones has also been at Bournemouth. And you just feel like it's a good fit. And I think Newcastle fans who got very excited after that news broke, of course, about Unai Emery, as you said, might feel like it's been a bit of a week. But looking at the reaction, they seem to be very positive. Some likening it to the arrival of Kevin Keegan, a sort of young manager who's, Newcastle at the bottom end of the table with a real sort of rebuild ahead. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the Newcastle fans are right to be getting excited this morning about this?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think this was a manager that the previous Newcastle ownership had looked at. And it's no surprise to me that the new owners are as well. This is a manager who has somehow been attracted a load of criticism since he's been out of work at Bournemouth because of their relegation in the summer of 2020, just before he departed. But if you look back, he brought them up from the bottom league of English football. That's an extraordinary achievement. He kept them in the Premier League for 4 out of 5 seasons. He made quality, attractive, winning football a trademark of his. He was linked with the England job and some of the biggest jobs in the Premier League. I remember reporting that he was one of the names that the likes of Arsenal were looking at for a period of time. And there is this sort of feeling among some in the last 24 hours or so that if he had a foreign, a sexier name, then perhaps he would have been into one of these vacancies much more quickly. But because of the time he's been out, which I must say has been influenced by the pandemic, that really affected the managerial market and probably some of the positions that Eddie Howe might have gone into. But I think it's a terrific appointment that the fans will definitely get behind.
I'm going to make the name sexier right now. All you got to do is put a little accent above the E and it becomes Eddie Howe, which would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Howe the lads.
Howe the lads, exactly, yeah.
Genius. Natalie, so, the big question is, regardless of whether Eddie Howe has got a sexy name or not, the big question is, can Newcastle stay as a Premier League team next season? They're in the relegation places at the moment, lots to sort out on and off the pitch. How much of a disaster is it if they actually, after this takeover, just get relegated to the Championship?
Oh, well, we've got to be honest, he's got a really tough job on his hands. If he does come in now, they've got some really tough fixtures coming up as well to start his time at Newcastle. But they've got time, we're really early on in the season yet. We're not even just a quarter of the way, through the Premier League season. He's got loads of time. They can definitely do it. I think it's really going to be key in terms of what they do in the January transfer window. How he gets the players bonding, how he gets the confidence up. I'm sure he'll get the fans right behind him. The Newcastle fans are absolutely desperate to have attractive football, to have a bit of success. So I'm sure he's going to get the fans right behind him straight away and create that incredible atmosphere up in Newcastle that they want and that they deserve. But he has got a really tough job on his hands. It is going to be a big fight down there. In terms of how disastrous it would be, I actually don't think it would be horrendous if they went down. Eddie Howe's got pedigree about bringing teams back into the Premier League, and I think realistically, I'm a Manchester City fan, so I can tell you from personal experience that Newcastle fans need to be planning for a good 5 or 6 years in the future for seeing the success that they want to be able to see. They really need to spend time building behind the scenes as well, getting everything sorted out, the backroom, getting the club sorted out, putting a real infrastructure in place. That's what I hope that the Newcastle owners are going to do, essentially just mirroring what our amazing owners have done in Manchester and done behind the scenes in Manchester. So I think it would be bad, but I don't think it'd be awful, because I would believe that Eddie Howe could bring them straight back up and give them that time to really build behind the scenes and get that long-term infrastructure and plan in place.
Wise words. David, I see the same. Does he keep them up briefly?
Yeah, I think he does. There's more than enough quality there. If you think Norwich are sadly looking like they're hurtling towards relegation, and a couple of other contenders have inferior quality to Newcastle. So if Howe can bring the best out of the existing players, add to them in January and get those famous fans behind him, then I think they'll be okay.